2023 is the year of mental health awareness in Wisconsin. This designation comes at a time when there was growing concern about our collective mental wellness. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, studies found that our mental health was getting worse. 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 6 kids experience mental illness or a mental disorder every year.
Dr. Miles, thank you so much for being with us today. What changes have you noticed in your practice? Is our collective mental health worse, or are we just paying more attention to it?
A good question and hard to answer, honestly, because we don't know what it was like before because people weren't talking about it and they weren't coming out and asking for help. And so, yes, I think there are some new and unique challenges that are happening nowadays that weren't there before, but that was true in the past too. I think one of the biggest changes I'm seeing, and it's for a positive, is awareness and is a willingness to destigmatize mental health needs. I think that pop culture has played a role in that too. We're seeing more and more individuals who are in the spotlight coming out and saying, hey, I struggle with this and I got help. And if you get help, you can feel better too. And every day isn't perfect, but we are going to work on that and work on having a better day each day rather than having to suffer alone constantly with that. I really think that the decrease in stigma, we're not there, we're not 100% gone yet, but the decrease in stigma is really helping improve the access and the general awareness of the mental health needs of every single person.
When you take a look at someone who's coming in and seeking help, or if someone is watching this and they say to themselves, how do I know that either I'm struggling or someone I know is struggling to the point where it's really important for them to seek support and care?
That's an important question. So for ourselves, that really is an individual answer, but there are some overarching things we can look at. And so probably the biggest one is going to be a change in your general behavior. So if someone who is normally very outgoing and involved, and all of a sudden you notice they're pulling back from things, they're not engaging, they're not talking to people as much, that would be a clue that something is going on. Avoidance for ourselves, avoidance of the things that we normally would like to do or enjoy doing is another big clue. A lot of people will experience when they're starting to really struggle a significant decrease in energy. And so the effort to do anything is really challenging, even to the level of like enjoyment just goes away. That song you enjoyed on the radio comes on and you don't feel it anymore. That's a big clue. And then another area to consider or to think about is, what are other people saying to you? Are they giving you feedback that you didn't necessarily expect of like, you look really tired lately, or something seems off? That might be a clue for yourself that something isn't right and you might need to want to look at that a little closer and get some extra help. One other thing that we share with patients that I think is particularly helpful in that respect is to do some reflection on that. What does it look like when I'm struggling? What do I feel, but what are other people likely to notice about me? And what can they do to help me? And giving that to your closest support people to let them know, if I'm struggling, these are the things that would be really helpful, but also these are the things that are not helpful, because we certainly have those things people might say or do that might upset us actually more.
Those are really important tips. It's important information for folks to have. But is there still enough of a stigma around seeking mental health that it can be difficult for individuals to approach someone they love or to be reflective, on their own behavior, to move forward with getting the support that's needed?
Absolutely. So stigma's still out there. It really is. There's always been this belief that having any mental health struggles is a weakness. And if you have a weakness, I can't rely on you. I can't expect you to do certain things. You can't live up to certain expectations. And none of that's really true, because we all are going to struggle from time to time. And if we don't talk about it, then we're going to put ourselves in these like suffering by ourselves situations, which is just unnecessary. But it absolutely is still out there and still a problem that we are facing day to day, which is why I encourage people to talk to each other. One of the most powerful things I've seen and felt happen is when someone kind of speaks to you about the things they think you might be experiencing and they hit it on the head. Like it would be really hard to have to deal with that right now. And someone gets very surprised that you can even acknowledge that. One of my favorite sayings for some people, people who are struggling in the moment, is that it's okay to not be okay. And that gives them that permission to talk about it and to reach out and get the help that they want or that they need, really. Similarly, it's hard to reach out when you're struggling. So reaching out to another person who is struggling may really be their lifeline, because they may not have the energy or even the belief that they deserve that help if they're in that situation.
We obviously are hearing a lot in the news and in the community about mental health and some of the things that happen when people are in a mental health crisis. How do we begin to help people make that connection, to understand that having good mental health is just as important as having good physical health?
When I do that, I try to make those connections using similarities. And so oftentimes I use diabetes, because most people know what diabetes is, generally speaking, and that there is medication you must take. Otherwise, you are going to have severe physical results that are not good. And so I often will make connections to that of like, you wouldn't let that go without being treated. And you also wouldn't judge someone for that. And so we want to do the same thing with our mental health, both from a medication and a therapeutic standpoint of allowing someone that openness and safe space to be able to talk about it and to acknowledge it, and just continuing that conversation to normalize mental health in the same realm as physical health. Because you're right, those two are, physical health is often accepted more than mental health. And we want those two to go hand in hand, because they really do go hand in hand.
When we take a look at this crisis that we really are in when it comes to our collective mental health in America, young people are being hit especially hard. Staggering numbers, particularly of young girls who talk about feeling depressed and unhappy. How do we begin to approach caring for our children so they can understand that when they're having these struggles, they can come forward?
I think it starts with us as the adults. We need to really model for our kids asking and receiving help. I think there is this unspoken belief, or sometimes spoken belief, that as a young person, you need to hold a particular standard. You need to look and sound a certain way and live up to the best grades and be on the best teams and achieve the most success without any failings or problems. And that's unrealistic. And if we as the adults talk to each other about the challenges we've had or the things that we struggle with, we can start modeling that. And then again, going back to some of the things we were already talking about, allowing ourselves to get help and normalize getting that help. We also just should ask them how they're doing and what they need, listen to them. And when asking them about what they need, being open to the idea that they might just need a space to like bounce ideas off or vent or just share their experience. And they might not need you to solve their problem or tell them what they did wrong or how to do it better, because that might just perpetuate the belief that they're not good enough or they had to do better. And in other situations, they might need some of that problem solving, and they might need help reaching out to talk to someone because they don't know where to start from a more therapy perspective.
Finally, when we take a look at where we are when it comes to mental health, what can we do to create better mental health spaces for ourselves and also within the communities where we live?
So for ourselves, I think making sure that you do some of your own awareness around what your needs might be. So setting your life up, your schedule up so that you have time set aside to kind of refill your own cup. Do the things that are enjoyable to you and that provide you some relaxation. We talk a lot about self-care, but we're very bad at doing it generally. And we need to put a lot of intention into that and understand that it's not selfish. It's more selfish not to do it, because you're going to drain yourself completely of all of your resources, and then you can't help anybody else. Within our community, I'd love to see more, again, normalizing of what mental health is, checking in on each other, accepting the fact that not every day is going to be the best day, having more resources that are widely known and available for people of all kinds and of all socioeconomic statuses, because that can sometimes be a barrier for people, as well as building in some time, again, even within the community, for taking care of ourselves. We get really caught up, understandably, in all of life's necessities. We need to go to work. We need to take care of our families. Our to-do lists are very long. And if we don't slow down and allow for some space within that to do things that fill ourselves up, we are going to continue to struggle, and it's only going to get worse.
Dr. Miles, thank you so much for really talking to us about this very important issue and giving us some tips and advice so we can improve our collective mental health as well as the mental health of those that we care about. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know needs help right now or is in immediate danger to themselves or others, please call 911. You can also call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 for less extreme or immediate needs. You can also get treatment information about Rogers Behavioral Health at rogersbh.org.
When we return, we'll learn how the Greater Milwaukee Urban League is connecting individuals with job training and manufacturing industry jobs. Stay with us.